Good afternoon, Hit Nation, folks, Democrats, and everything in between and beyond. I just wanted to say that somebody posted a video of a Tatum dunk, and I don't know whether this means that my channel was hacked and somebody's posting videos that don't make any sense, or because, like, if you have to hack a channel, why would you do this one? Like, I literally will close it and open a new one and have the same amount of followers, which is 35. But okay, if you still want to do it, could also be that our content editor, Raphael Patpad, or just Raf, put it there as a joke. Regardless, I deleted it. Okay, to talk about yesterday's game is the same deal. I don't know. I think it was the last 10 p.m. I don't know if we still have one more 10 p.m. game to go, because those games are just, they kill us, right? I honestly don't get why there is no compromise. Like, it's 7:30 here, so it's 4:30 there. When we're playing a team from Los Angeles, we should be playing at 8:30, maybe 9, right? And that should be across the board for both places, right? 9 p.m. Here, in both cases, in both instances, would be, 6 p.m. there. That makes sense to me. A 6 p.m. game may be complicated for Los Angeles, but a 7:30 p.m., 7 p.m., 6 p.m., 5 p.m., or 3 p.m. game in Miami is going to be the same thing, whether it's a work day or not. So I don't know what's going on there with their crypto.com currency situation, but or others or other arenas. Why does the NBA force people from the East to stay up until 12:30 or 1:30 the other day, almost with a double overtime with the Kings? Anyway, so I watched the first half and I started watching the second half, and immediately what I said last video came back to bite me, right? There is no such thing as necessarily a third quarter. We did have a stretch in the beginning of the season that we were outscored phenomenally in the third quarter, but that trend has kind of gone down, and it's either a quarter that could go, things could go south, or sometimes it's the fourth quarter, right? In this case, again, the third quarter, right immediately things started to go south. They started cutting the lead, and once they cut the lead to only 1 point, that's when I finally went to sleep and I watched the rest of the game. And I can tell you this: when you are worried that you are gonna take Ware off the floor and have Bam come back to perform the way that he did yesterday on both ends of the floor, it's just embarrassing. It's not going to cut it. And it's so interesting because it's normally the player that writes the check that has to pay the consequences sometimes, right? I mean, look, Bam Adebayo didn't have to say we have enough, because we don't. We have enough for what? We have enough to watch the new players, the young ones, and to have fun with them. Yes, we have enough to understand that maybe Duncan Robinson is not in our future, but still love the guy. Don't understand why people get angry at him. His defense hasn't improved from last year significantly, right? He had, I think, 0.5, and now he has 0.7 steals. He has 0.2, and now he has 0.1 blocks per game. But I think that the intangibles have improved. I do agree that Max Strus is a similar player, and he definitely has different qualities. And I'm not gonna slander Duncan Robinson. He's obviously not in the ups, and there is no way not to laugh. Just as it happened against the Clippers, it happened against the Lakers. There's no way not to laugh of Terry Rozier's completely useless attempts to dribble and create ISOs that just don't exist. And then he's shooting just being incredibly low. And again, right, we didn't want Lowry, who was averaging, I think, 4 points a game at a time, 4 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds or something like that. But we also don't want a guy like Terry Rozier who's averaging, 3 assists a game, 12 points, something like that. Obviously, Rozier was the guy that I thought we were going to trade to get an improvement in the roster, but of course his value has tanked, and now we have the Jimmy Butler situation, which I have to comment on. But of course, the loss yesterday was completely unnecessary, and unfortunately it puts us exactly where we are. By the way, I think we are 8-9 without Jimmy Butler, and I don't know if the record would improve significantly with Jimmy Butler, because we've literally, with Jimmy Butler on the roster without any kind of disgruntlement last season and the season before, we ended up in the play-ins. And both of those times, even if one of them we actually made the Cinderella story of actually making it to the finals, both of those times, you don't need to play 2 extra games and get extra tired and then have to go to a finals against a team that is clearly superior to us and not be able to deliver, not have gas in the tank to deliver because we're so exhausted and tired, right? Going 3-0 and then allowing the Celtics to tie the series in the ECF didn't help either. So it's not that, again, this team right now, as it is, without Jimmy Butler, is obviously not a contender for the title. Not at all. I hope that there aren't many delusional Heat fans that think that. But it's also a team that is fun to watch when you have the young people playing. So that's why I want to see more minutes of people that I don't normally see having the minutes that I think they should have in a season like this one, like Larson, for example, right? But obviously we're getting those minutes. It's definitely something good to see because we actually have a legitimate center. Will that make Spo change his mind and use Bam as a power forward? The chance of that is close to 0. So not even holding my breath on that. But okay, let's finally talk about that. Okay, unnecessary loss. We're 2019. We're close to 500, and tomorrow is a scheduled loss. So I think we're going to be at 500 after the Nuggets, and then we're going to see what we do against San Antonio and so forth. We'll see what we do after game 40, right? But for now, at least, it does seem that we had a relatively not so unsuccessful road trip, because a very difficult road trip, and we ended up at 500 by 3-3. And now we come back home to play against the Nuggets that I don't think we've lost. The last time that we won against the Nuggets in the regular season was in the bubble. In 2020. So we're talking about 4.5 years ago. So the Nuggets are a scheduled loss to me. Things coming out that make noise from both camps, or both leakings for both camps from Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat, make it seem like, okay, the Miami Heat has some sort of a grievance. And then, for example, one of the things that they state is that Jimmy Butler took flights without the team, but then Jimmy Butler says that he did it only when his father was sick, which, if it's the case, that's the problem of grievances. That's the problem of when you actually go into a fight, right? Whether it's judicial or whether it's supervised by the league itself. You have to justify the suspension. And just the guy saying that he doesn't want to play, that he has no joy playing, and not actually putting in the effort and not doing what is being told is not enough, doesn't warrant you a suspension. And you go above and beyond and you say, but we don't know what's in there. That's what people say it's in there, right? And again, people say, people hear. What was the conversation between Jimmy Butler and Pat Riley? It's certainly not, I'm going to be back in the team. Jimmy Butler is not coming back to Miami. Is he going to still play, though, because he's still under contract? He can't possibly be paid not to play. But that could be just the best case scenario for the team right now. But he could also, try to just, get your joy back with your teammates, man. I know that Jimmy Butler does not burn bridges with teammates normally, right? He's still friends with lots of people from the past. I guess not so much Tobias Harris, but maybe even so. But, then Jimmy Butler's reputations, beneath the camp reputations, that Jimmy Butler had a paycheck late for 10 days. I am with Ethan Skolnick on this one. This is a ridiculous one. That... the trips were, of course, to his father. That's a different story. That's obviously not that. But that he was asked to speak to the media. Those things just don't look good for Butler, because I don't see anyone going, oh, yeah, poor Butler, he had to speak with the media. I don't see people doing that. I do see people saying that Jimmy Butler means more to the Heat than the Heat means to Jimmy Butler. And I saw somebody say something very interesting today. He said, we don't root for the Miami Heat for the logo. We root for the players. And that's a very interesting way to look at things, right? I mean, if you have bad players, why would you... Bro, because you are a fan of the Miami Heat. You're not a fan of Jimmy Butler. If you're a fan of Jimmy Butler, you're not a fan of Miami Heat. Those are not mutually exclusive. You can be a fan of both. But you have to understand that you're not going to be rooting for the Miami Heat only when they have the players that you want. So that is kind of like a lost argument right there. Others that are still saying straight hero. It's just amazing. Anyway, I don't know what's going to happen with Jimmy Butler. That's what I wanted to say. I just wanted to say that whatever it is that leaked from Jimmy Butler's camp is more ridiculous than what leaked from Miami Heat camp. It does seem like the Miami Heat has more of the reason in this case. I think that the argument that we could have made the team better for Jimmy Butler, as much as everybody gives it validity, I'm not going to invalidate it. I think it's lost with the fact that Jimmy Butler in his prime also had great teammates and never made it because he gets disgruntled because of money, and it is about the money, and it is about securing his future. And I did see the analysis in 5 Reasons Sports that I agree with, which is he's definitely declining. I mean, there is no doubt about it. When I said that it was going to be a Jimmy Butler comeback season, I didn't think that it was going to be a Jimmy Butler Philadelphia 76ers comeback season, right? Jimmy Butler's exit Philadelphia 76ers, Jimmy Butler exit the Bulls, Jimmy Butler exit Minnesota's comeback season. I thought it was going to actually play, but it didn't play out this way. I can't be mad at losses with our current situation. It's very difficult for me to be mad at losses in our current situation. I guess that you could be madder if it's a weak team like the Blazers, but we smoked them. The Warriors are not. They're, arguably, depending on the way you look at it, they could say they're either the same or even a tier above us. Would be half Steph Curry, for God's sake, even though he's not in his prime. And yet we beat them. Still, they're not a good team, right? And of course, right, we beat the Jazz, which we should have in the first time that we battled them, and we should have beat the Kings, in my opinion, both times too. But with this current roster, I can't expect wins. I can expect to see improvement, development, things go north, as we say, but I can't expect much. So I'm not mad at that. And yeah, I'm going to try to record a video tomorrow before the game against the Nuggets, but it's a scheduled loss, guys, a scheduled loss. And if I had to put my money, I would say Jimmy Butler is not playing. And do you want Jimmy Butler to play on your team? That's a question that I asked myself last time, and the 5 Reasons Sports folks put a poll out there. Most people say no. I say yes, if he wants to come back, meaning if he has ulterior reasons, if he's not doing it for the Miami Heat, but he's doing it for his own value, yes, come back. As long as you're willing to give in the effort that you normally give in regular season, absolutely come back, Jimmy. There's absolutely no reason why not. There is no way to know what exactly is going on with Jimmy, so there is no way for me to be mad at him. I just think that all those things that come out look bad for him, and it just seems like there is no way for me to take any other side other than the Miami Heat. That's pretty much the way that I feel about it. Anyway, stay safe, stay dry, stay as happy as possible in this very complicated world of ours. So let's go Heat.